talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. After starting 4-1 to open the season, they're currently 5-4. And they're in a very dangerous situation in the AFC North right now because right on their heels is the Baltimore Ravens with a 4-5 record. The Steelers, they still control their own destiny. If you go out there and you take care of business for the rest of the season, you can still win this division. You can still host a playoff game this year in the NFL playoffs. But when you look at the rest of the schedule, you got the Cincinnati Bengals at home. You already lost to the Bengals this year. I imagine that the Steelers would be a heavy favorite in this game, but you never know this season. The Buffalo Bills were a heavy favorite today and they lost to the Miami Dolphins. You can't sleep on the Bengals, even though they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They're coming off a bye week. Then you face the Bears on the road, the Buffalo Bills at home, the Baltimore Ravens on the road, the Miami Dolphins at home, the Lions on the road, the Cleveland Browns on the road, and you close out at home against the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm not completely writing this team off, but at the same time, I don't have the Steelers being major contenders in the AFC. Yes, you got a very good win last week against the Indianapolis Colts, but you had 6 takeaways, and you won that game 27-20. That says a lot. And you defeated the New England Patriots earlier this year. You had 5 takeaways in that game. And you still went out, and you won that game 21-14. You're winning games by a touchdown, and your defense is having major takeaways here. This offense has major problems. Now, in today's game against the Chargers, where they lost this game 25-10, Isaac, their starting guard, was not able to play in this matchup. You cannot run that jumbo set with the 3 tight ends on the field and just basically try to get a push up front. And you saw how bad this offense is when they can't run that jumbo set with those tight end and those extra linemen up front. They don't have the perimeter weapons outside DK Metcalf to make you pay. This is why I hate the fact that they traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. You can say that he was a head case all you want. At the end of the day, he was easily their most talented wide receiver last season, over the last couple of years. He gave you good production with Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson. And you traded him. He's not having those problems off the field right now with the Dallas Cowboys. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that DK Metcalf is a terrible player, but he's not worth the contract currently. 5 years, $150 million. DK Metcalf has been a solid wide receiver, but the impact that he had in Seattle, he's not having that impact right now with the Steelers. You put him in roll coverage, you put a safety over the top and a cornerback underneath, you take him away. Who else is beating you over the top? Roman Wilson, he's not that playmaker. Calvin Austin III, he's solid, but he's more so of a number 3 wide receiver. This is why the Steelers tried to go out and they tried to trade for Jacoby Myers. A report came out today that the Steelers, they offered a deal, but Jacoby wanted to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars instead. And the Raiders, they did right by him. You wouldn't have to look around the market and to potentially try to bring in a wide receiver if you were able to just go out there and just keep George Pickens and match him up with DK Metcalf and have Calvin Austin III inside the slot position. And Roman Wilson would be that number 4 wide receiver. But instead, Roman Wilson has had to come in and he has had to be the number 2 target when Calvin was dealing with injuries. The wide receiving position just isn't good enough. The tight end position, they're solid there. Pat is a very good receiving tight end, but he can't stretch out the field. Jonnu Smith, he's talented, but he hasn't been that game-changing tight end this season. Darnell Washington is a very talented tight end as well. He's more so of a blocking tight end. You're getting good production out of him. I don't think the players that they have are scrubs. They're just not good enough to go out there and compete against elite teams. In the AFC, I don't think the Steelers can defeat Kansas City. They couldn't defeat the Los Angeles Chargers tonight. They could barely score on this team. And shout out to the Chargers for taking care of business in this matchup. I definitely got this one wrong. If they were to go out there and face the Houston Texans right now, I don't even think the Steelers could beat them. Because their defense, how dominant that they are. You're expecting for Aaron Rodgers to turn the clock around, to turn the clock back to time, and to be the MVP Aaron Rodgers. He's not a bad quarterback, but in this system, it's only so much that he can do. And the play calling with Arthur Smith hasn't been good over the last couple of weeks, even against the Indianapolis Colts last week. The league has caught on to that jumbo set. All they have to do is have a safety over the top, press up DK Metcalf with a cornerback, and limit those deep routes down the field. And now you're dinking and dunking your way down the field. The offensive line isn't good enough. Broderick Jones, he's a bust. Troy Fautanu has had up and down moments, but he's not a consistent right tackle. Zach Frazier and Mason McCormick, they're your best offensive linemen at the center and the right guard position. And they've had some bad moments over the last 3 weeks as well. So the offense, the identity is to have that jumbo set and to run the football with Jaylen Warren. But when you go against heavier teams like Kansas City, the Indianapolis Colts, it's only so much that you can do. They did not run the football very well last week against Indy. You won that game based off those takeaways and what Aaron Rodgers was able to do as a game manager. But that's not going to be the case every single week. Now, in tonight's matchup against the Chargers, everyone played bad. You did have 5 sacks on Justin Herbert. But in the first half, Justin Herbert is carving up this defense. Teams have realized quick game is the way to beat the Steelers. This is the Steelers' game plan with Mike Tomlin. They want to stop the run as much as possible. They'll go out there and they'll make sure that they are very hard on your running back so they can pin their ears back and they can get to the quarterback. But the best way to neutralize that pass rush and to minimize that pass rush, quick passes. Constantly, over and over again. You target those linebackers in space. You create space for your tight end. You create space for your wide receivers. And that's what Greg Roman did. It's very telling. Greg Roman, who's a former coach in this division, he knows this defense with Coach Tomlin because he hasn't adapted. It's the same defensive calls that he was running when he first became the head coach with this organization many years ago. They were able to defeat this team today. They were able to drive the field with Justin Herbert, who was a phenomenal quarterback. But Joe Flacco was able to come out a couple weeks ago with the Cincinnati Bengals, pitch and catch. The pass rush rarely came home. And you have very good pass rushers. But if I get the football off so quick with my timing and my anticipation, we're golden. You play that zone coverage. You have so many weak spots. I can go to Jamar Chase if I'm Joe Flacco. I can go to T. Higgins. And now you're worried about the pass game here. Those pass rushers, I'm tiring them out. Let's open up that run game. We're going to wear on you. And that is what the Chargers did tonight. And that is what the Cincinnati Bengals did a couple weeks ago. And the same with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. It's a week-to-week league. But at the same time, I have seen the Steelers do this before with Coach Tomlin. This is the same movie that happened last season. With their offense, it wasn't good enough. They had a lead on this division. And the next thing you know, they lost their last 5 games. Here comes Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And the same movie is happening yet again. The Ravens were 1-5 to start this season. Injuries with Lamar Jackson, injuries with their defense, and now they're 4-5. And the Steelers are 5-4. And I can guarantee you when they face the Baltimore Ravens in the next couple of weeks, it's a good chance the Ravens will possibly win that game. The roster just isn't good enough, and the coaching isn't good enough either. I've said this before so many times about Coach Tomlin over the last 3 to 4 years that it's time to move on. But you have a bunch of people, they still believe that he's the right coach for the job. At this point, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it is time to move on from Coach Tomlin if you want to win big in the AFC. And I know it's going to be some rough years if they move on from Coach Tomlin. He's not a terrible head coach, but he's not good enough to win a Super Bowl with anymore, especially with the current state of the Steelers. They both need a change of scenery. The Steelers do, and the same with Coach Tomlin. I think if he went elsewhere to a team like the Atlanta Falcons, he would be very successful with that organization. They could use a voice like him as a head coach. He still has some redeeming qualities. But you look at the Steelers right now, this is scary as hell. You have Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to stick around for the next 5 to 10 years. You still have a problem at the quarterback position. And many Steelers fans, they may come out and they may say, well, Will Howard, he's the guy. It's a reason why he slipped in the NFL draft as far as he did. Maybe he is the quarterback of the future. But now you have an aging DK Metcalf. He also has problems just like George Pickens on the field with dumb flags. We rarely talk about it because of how big and how physical he is. But he's a very immature player at times. The offensive line is still an issue. And now you have this old defense that just can't keep up. Every single week, Darius Slay is dealing with an injury. Whether it's to his shoulder, it's to his knee, it's to his hamstring, and he is older. But we saw this happen last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had some bad moments. This is why they moved on from him. He's a rotational corner. Now, in tonight's game, when he went down with that concussion, that's not on him. It was friendly fire by Kyle Duggar. He came out of nowhere at the safety position. He hit his own teammate head to head. And that happens. It's football. That happens at the high school level, college level. It sucks. I'm not going to come on here and blame a player for being injured. He can't help that. And I hope that Darius Slay is okay. But it's time to go home and it's time to retire. You won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. You're one of the best cornerbacks that we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years with the work that he was able to do with the Eagles, the work he was able to do with the Detroit Lions. He isn't a good cornerback right now with the Steelers. They want him to be that number 2, number 3 corner. He's just not good enough anymore. Joy Porter Jr. has had some solid moments. He's a holding machine. Defensive pass interference waiting to happen. And Jalen Ramsey, cornerback / safety. Whenever you move a cornerback to the safety position, you're dealing with a lot of injuries in that spot. And the Steelers, they are. But at the same time, it's a telltale sign. He can't hang at the cornerback position anymore. He can't play that press man coverage on a consistent basis. And we saw that against the Packers. We saw that against the Cincinnati Bengals. You have an old team on the defensive end, and you're constantly playing man coverage on the back end when they're not fast and physical enough anymore. And they're going to run past you constantly. You go back to that zone coverage. It's the same zone coverage that you had when you first became the head coach, Coach Tomlin. Coach Austin is not a good defensive coordinator. Arthur Smith is an okay offensive coordinator at best. And you've been outcoached by Coach Harbaugh. Last week, Daniel Jones and the Colts, they were able to move the football down the field on you. You just came away with takeaways. It's a bend but don't break defense, but it's the highest paid defense in the NFL. I'm not going to come on here. I know it's a joke. I'm not going to rant about it. I'm not going to say this is what the Steelers should do. They're still going to be a contender. No, I'm over it at this point. They are who they are. This late into the season, nothing is going to drastically change. The trade deadline is no longer with us. The trade deadline is past us. You can't go out there. You can't make a trade. You brought in Kyle Duggar when Deshaun Elliott went down. Good move. You have Jabril Peppers as well. But at the end of the day, everyone knows how to beat the Steelers in their defense. While we're seeing other teams take those massive steps forward, the Steelers, they're taking a step back against elite level competition. You will run into a team like the Chargers in the playoffs. They deserve to be there. Look at what they dealt with today. Their entire offensive line is injured. It didn't look like it in the first half. Under center runs crushed you. Kamani Vidal looked like a prime running back today, and he's been a very good running back this season, but he looked like a top 5 running back. You were dead last in passing offense, and it showed tonight once again against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And when I look at players like Cameron Hayward is not a bad football player, but for someone that could play in this offseason, I want to get paid more money. I deserve my money. I know my worth. He hasn't stepped up this season on a consistent basis. TJ Watt is still a special pass rusher. He's getting double and triple teamed a lot. But Micah Parsons is getting double teamed a lot as well. He's having a huge impact with the Packers. We don't see that consistent impact with TJ Watt every single week. What he did last week against the Colts was amazing. What he did against Drake May and the Patriots was also amazing. But there will be some games here against the Cincinnati Bengals. He doesn't show up. He doesn't have those splash plays. And that's not all on TJ Watt. They barely move him around. They barely run different plays with him on the outside. Move him around. Herbig has been a very good player, and the same with Alex Highsmith. And back to the TJ Watt conversation, it's not me saying that he's taken a step back, that he's not a good pass rusher anymore. He is still one of the best of the position. A lot of the players on the defensive line, they're benefiting from him. But when you need that play, he needs to step up, and he needs to be better as well. That goes for everyone on this defensive line in this front seven. Now, the linebacker position has been the most disappointing position with the Steelers. You look at how Patrick Queen played last season. Very good run stopper, very good in pass coverage. This year, he's been so inconsistent. He's had more bad plays than good plays this year. And Peyton Wilson, he played at his best last year when they had a Landon Roberts alongside him. He was able to go out there and he was able to have free range to run around because Landon Roberts was able to go out there and constantly stop the run. He was a tone setter. And the same with Patrick Queen. He's more so of a number 2 guy at this stage of his career. I believe one day he will be a very good interior linebacker on his own, but he needs someone to play off of. When the opposing linebacker alongside him is having a great day, Peyton Wilson is having a great day as well. But when that opposing linebacker is having an off day, Peyton Wilson isn't the same impactful player. It's just sad to see the Steelers be in this position because you did put all your chips in on this year. You were 100% sold on Roman Wilson being this consistent player that you drafted out of Michigan. Hasn't lived up to that hype. Calvin Austin III, we know what he is. Can be a solid number 2, but he's not a consistent number 2. He's more so of a number 3 wide receiver inside the slot that will give you those good moments. And they can't push the football deep down the field. And Aaron Rodgers is a better option than Justin Fields and Russell Wilson from last season. You've basically exercised all your options up to this point. You had to finish out the season with this roster, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers missed the playoffs. And if they actually went to the NFL playoffs, sure, it'll stop Coach Tomlin from having a losing season. But we know how this movie is going to end. If they match up with the Denver Broncos in the playoffs, they could potentially win that game because of the inconsistent offensive players that the Denver Broncos have. But besides the Denver Broncos, I don't see another team in the AFC that the Steelers could beat that are in the playoff picture currently. If it's taking you to have 5 to 6 takeaways in the game just to win by a touchdown, that says a lot about your game plan. That says a lot about your team as a whole. But just let me know in the comment section below how you feel about the Steelers. I do have the Baltimore Ravens winning this division, and I could be wrong. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.